Pray up. Coffee up. The pack is calling. Dawn breaks cold, bones still aching. World's trying to keep you down, forsaken. But I got fire in my veins today. Black brew rising, chasing the gray. No weak excuses, no chains on me. Southern blood pumping, wild and free. Grab the mug, feel the heat ignite. This ain't just coffee, it's fight or flight. Get up, pray up. Load the chamber, face the day. No surrender, no backing away. The wolf knows. He smells the hunt, he feels the fire. The wolf knows. Brew strong.
And good morning. Sorry for a little delay. Taking care of a couple of housekeeping items, as we call those kinds of things. And the fact that I was running just a little late. Happy Tuesday. Election day. Election day. I hope you've already voted. If not, don't miss the opportunity. Yes, sometimes you have to hold your nose and look away from the screen because the choices are so ugly. But I always vote in absence of anything good to vote for. I vote for those soldiers who are laying in foreign graves who gave all that I could have that right. So sometimes it is that way. But there's some, in my area, I think there's some good options. There's some bad options. But here's the primaries. Polls will be opening up here shortly, less than an hour. We will go live tonight with a live election day coverage. Probably I'm hoping to kick that off right at 7 as the polls close here in Georgia. With the those things will start uploading pretty quickly. Good morning, Tommy. God bless you, man. Those results will start populating pretty quickly. There's always some counties. I don't know why it has to be. There's always some counties in Georgia which are slow. So slow. We know one of them is around Atlanta. We know that. And there's always that county in South Georgia. It's not extreme South Georgia, but it is South Georgia. It's a big county, but it's not a lot of people. I mean, it's just farming communities, but they are always slow themselves. And that's probably I don't know why. I mean, I think it just takes a while to get all of the things back to the election headquarters because they're so far apart. Because you always have those, depending on when they get everything done. I mean, they go and get those in our county, and I'm assuming it's that way across the state. They come and get those. They come by under police escort, and there's a transfer of those things for the memory cards and everything out of the scanner. So it doesn't take long. I mean, it doesn't take long at all. But still, if you're having to go, they have to wait till they close. They have to go to each one. But I mean, sometimes it'll be 10 o'clock at night, 10:30, and stuff will be populating in. So it's a little ridiculous, I think. But it's certainly one I think is just. It's a big county up around Atlanta, but I think it's just mismanagement. They're always having trouble. But go vote. These are important primaries. It's going to determine who is going to be running against Democrat, Republican in the fall for the general election. I had mentioned last night during the PNN News that I probably, I've been off for a bit. I took a break middle to late last year because of my wife's. It was just getting too tough to really. I didn't want to have somebody to have to come at 5:30 in the morning, and then cover that all the way to about 10:30 at night because she had to have 24/7 care. So I took a break. And I'm still on that break. Obviously, it's just been a little over 3 weeks since my wife passed. And I don't know if I will help in the general or not. I'm just not sure. But my hope is I will go back. And if not, then it'll be the first of next year, which probably be small. There's not much probably on the next year's docket, but I'll probably go back then. I want to go back. I like being involved. I miss my team. If since I've missed so much, I'll probably have to go through some training again. Uh, I did take the training earlier in the year, so I might be covered for the general, but I need to brush up a little bit. So I may do that for the fall. Still, that's a ways away. That's a few months away. So for the November election, I may do that. So we'll just see how things go. Um, Tommy says, me and my wife are just going over who we're going to vote for today. Haven't determined the machine cheat. Catoosa uses Dominion. They do. That's a state contract, and all of them do. So, and good morning to you, like I said. I've got to fix my chat today. I can't talk back in, but I can tell you the other chats are fine. It's the StreamYard. I think it's the Facebook. Every once in a while, I need to take it out of there and then put it right back in. I think it'll fix it. I think this happened one other time, but I do see that, and I put it on the screen. They have a contract with the state, and that's a multi-million-dollar contract. Now, that company was taken over by a man who is vowed to take everything back to paper ballots. I don't know where that stands, but there is a contract in place for so long. So I'm assuming that would have to be honored for a bit. I don't know how long that runs for. I don't remember. I really don't. I think that was like a 4-year contract or something like that. I just don't remember. I can say in my county, I can't speak for other counties, that I have, because we work with great people. I know our county is good. I know that. And I'm not just going by because I've worked with them and and I think of the world of them because I do, but it's not just that. I have looked at these results inside and out from our county, and I don't see any improprieties at all. I have looked at it. I know what our precinct was. You can kind of extrapolate that out, and that it looks good. And our county, or the county, my precinct, that area is somewhat of a changing area. It has shifted a little bit. There's a younger group that's moving back into the county after their grandparents have passed away or one of the facilities or whatever, and you just see that you can't campaign, but sometimes if you know. But I look at all the results, and you can see that there's a pretty good Democratic turnout, but it's not near enough to sway her. It's not even close, but it has been rising a little bit. But I did want to say, and some of y'all might not have seen this, but this is the official letter I got from the county about my wife passing away, and she died on the 26th. And I'll mention this again, and you can see the date. I'm going to cover up my address, although most people know where I live. I don't know if you can see that. Let me get that's 30th. 4 days later. 4 days later, on Thursday from Sunday, I got this letter, and it is telling me that because this has been a problem, and people moving out of the state, voting back in the state. People here around the country, the people that are deceased, someone voting. She was removed from that database. So by the time this is on Thursday, so I would say by Wednesday. This came to me the same day it was mailed out. It's amazing. But or maybe it was mailed that evening and dated for that. But she was removed. They give her official registration number, her name, her county, and that was to inform me that the office had removed that registrant from the database, and this was all through the Secretary of State's office. All of them are in the loop. But I thought it was interesting. I never heard it called this. I mean, I get it, but they said that they through a file sharing database with the Georgia Secretary of State's office and through other reporting mechanisms, they had been notified that the above was deceased, which is my wife's name and address and all that. And then they have a please accept our deepest condolences for the loss of your loved one. I thought it was interesting. They have a special note at the bottom of this that the Georgia Secretary of State's office obtains data from the Office of Vital Records at Georgia's Department of Public Health. And I just never knew it was called this. Let's see if I can show this. Right below my fingers are this little line here. I didn't know if you can see that, is the Social Security Death Master List. death master list. I never knew that was called that. I mean, you would think they would have some, I don't know what you would call it, but I just never knew it was referred to as that, the death master list. So one day all of us will be transferred to the death master list at the Social Security office. So anyway, they said if there was an error or anything or something wrong, to get with them immediately, blah, 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 blah. But I'm going to hold on to that. I just thought it was interesting. And you can see that it came to me from, and here's from my county, Catoosa County Elections, and I did leave that open. I don't care. Catoosa County Elections Office on Yvette Street, which I've been there many times. So anyway, I just found that interesting that quickly they was removed. Now this, like I said, there has been, not the rumor mill, not the whatever. I mean, they've shown that there was a problem in Georgia with people moving out of the state that came back in that should have not. I don't know what the numbers were, but that definitely did happen. But they have it's pretty intense what goes on. And then the after, which a lot of people don't know what the after is that they go back, they have a what they call that? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna say it wrong and somebody's gonna call me and say, Dave, that's not what you call it. What is it called? Well, it'll hit me in a minute. But they come back together days after the election, and they audit. I guess that was audit. I hope I got that right. It's an audit, and they have representatives from, of course, themselves, but both sides, and they go over all the results and make sure that everybody's on board with this is a clean election. In addition to that, the Secretary of State's office in Georgia does picks. I don't remember the number exactly. I could have this wrong, but I know it's a couple of counties for sure that under a special audit some years, they pick out different ones, and then they come in and do a deep dive, a deeper audit, and just looking over systems and paperwork and all that. So everything counts. That's why we have to have everything just right. I get the concern. I understand that. I get the concern with that. And I know that, there's been a lot of investigation on that across the nation for those states that use that. There are some that use ES&S, and I think, was there even another one? But I know the Dominion and ES&S are two of those. I would say, Tommy, when you do your research, and you probably do this. This is just a help, and it'll help your wife. Go to the Georgia Secretary of State's office and pull up your sample ballot. It's really simple. You're going to go by your birth date, name, I think, or what county. It's going to pull up the sample ballot. You can pull it up right there, and it'll show you everything. It'll show you everything that's on the ballot. It's a big ballot, by the way. It's a lot to go through. It may be the biggest ballot that I've ever been a part of. There's 10 questions on it, which most of them, I think, you're going to be, it's like, for me, it was like, yes. So you always have the questions, but there's a lot of offices. What you can do is print that off. If you have ability to do that, print that off. Go ahead and pre-mark your offices that you want to vote for, because sometimes you get in there, so many offices, you're like, who did we say here? You can mark that. It's legal to take into the voting booth, as they call it, and pull that out and use it as a guide. I helped my wife with that when she was living, because she was more familiar with some offices than others. And, she got in there and she'd get a little confused sometimes. And I've seen that as a person who was worked the elections, and I've seen husband and wife come in. The husband's over here and he's just and the wife's over there going, and they can't talk. We've had to stop them when they try. It's like, who did we say on number 5? It's like, sorry, no talking in the voting booth. And she gets frustrated, and he's over here like, come on, And I'm thinking, dude, you could have helped her out with this. They will look at the sample ballots on the wall, because sometimes within those counties, there's some things that are specific to your precinct. So it is important, that you have that, because sometimes there'll be one in there you didn't realize was there. Or here's another thing that happens: people think they're voting for some things. It's not in their county or not in their district, their precinct area. And we get that too. We get that a lot. I wanted to vote for it. It's like, you don't live in that area, sir. I'm sorry. We can't discuss, the things, but it's look at the board, and we take them over the board. This is what you can vote on. And I've had them get mad. That's the only thing they wanted to come in and vote for. It's like, I just wanted to vote for this one thing. And, I get it, but they should have done a little research, but thank you for doing that. Some people just wing it and just go down through there and vote incumbents or vote against all incumbents, which I'm not against in some cases. It depends. There are some incumbents that I feel has done a really good job, and I want to vote for them. However, I am always big about change as well, and I think change is good, and we don't want people parking in there forever. And I've went against the grain. And even though my vote is probably trounced, I've went against the grain. I've voted for somebody who's up and coming. Maybe I like their message. Sometimes I have two candidates that I really, really like. They're good candidates, and I really like them. And even though one's the incumbent and one is not, to me, I think that either can do a good job, and I don't want to affect that. And I'm willing to let change occur. Because I think sometimes they get in there like, well, we won't say that, but you know what I mean. They get in there and you can't get them out, and listen, they spend all this money. All these PACs do that. The local guy, they all run the information through the filter of one, how many voters are there? Eligible voters. Two, what is the breakdown on that? How many usually are, how many are Democrat, how many Democratic, how many are Republican, or whatever. They got all that. Then they break it down further, precinct by precinct. How many usually turn out? What's the percentage that's going to turn out? Where is an area of target? Like if there's been something happen in the, last year, I think it was a lot of incumbents got voted out, and it was over the chicken fight. I mean, every one of them got bounced. People were mad about that. The voters got mad. So it didn't matter who was running against them. The chicken people said, heck with you. That's what they said. We'll see you at the polls. And they did. And it was a sweep. I mean, I think it might have been one or two survived, but I think most of them got voted out. So, they're looking at that, and their opponents obviously would use that, as a weapon, a battering ram against them, and continue to work that. But, then they run all those. They run all the numbers, and they're going. I mean, now I've never seen it as heavy as it is. I don't know who's paying for all this. Last year, I had them knocking on my door, wanting to know if I'd already voted. It was leading up to election day. That's what they're looking at. They know how many has voted, how many has voted already. And they don't know every little thing, but they know they can kind of break that down. They can extrapolate that out, and they can start doing a bunch of figuring, and they kind of know what if they're running behind, ahead. I mean, that's what all these polls do. And what's the percentage points? I mean, in Georgia, I've heard percentage points wise. I mean, in one county it's pretty wide, but Burt Jones is getting beat. Was what I heard. Now I'm not saying that for sure. That's what I heard. As these polls have said that Jackson is as much as 15 points ahead. A little examination has. Others have said, well, in some counties, that is 5 or 6 points, not 15. There was a couple, I think, one or two, where they said, yeah, probably, you're going to be stronger in some areas than in others. But money, and I think Greg last night, who has his own show on Rumble, said it best. Those who have the most money, those who have the most money and get out there the most, or seen the most, get the mailers and all that stuff. They're the ones they're the ones that win usually, not always, but they do. A lot of times because people get used to seeing a name. Now, maybe some would say I would never vote for, a particular party or whatever. So it might be within their own party that they do that. Good morning, Broski. It might be within their own party they do that, but there are some people who will only vote in a certain party. I get that. But then they're going to break that down within their own party and see who are you more likely leaning to. So they look at all of that. They look at all of that, and it's a lot of money spent. And I have never, in my 61 years, and I didn't look at the mail when I was 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever. But and I, as a kid, you end up going to get in the mail a lot. And I can tell you, as a person who has voted, was involved, paying attention to politics. Way before I was ever eligible to vote, I watched the different parties have their big meetings and all that. I went with my dad in the voting booth, and I watched this whole process. I met politicians. I have never ever in my life in my area seen as many mailers that are being sent. It is a stack every day. I've already voted. I just go to the trash can. Sometimes I'll look. They're changing them up. These are high color, visibility. They're not. Some of them are huge fold out. I mean, it's almost like a newspaper. They're spending some money, and I just throw them in the trash. And I'm getting, it on my phone constantly. In fact, I think I had one this morning. It might have just been about today as election day or whatever. But I think, yeah, here's the one. This was a local number, and this one is put out for, and this was local. This is for Mitchell Horner, who is involved in a big fight here with was that Nick Millwood, I believe, that's running with him, and I've had things from his camp as well. But probably, let's see, not every day do I get a text from the Horner camp, but I tell you that it is every 2 or 3 days I have one of those, and that's not counting all the others that I get. Also have with me is the Rick Jackson one. I don't know if you've gotten those text messages, but that's from the Rick Jackson camp. Just to name some of them, but they're getting these lists. This one is, this is from, they don't have a nice header, but that's the Blake Tillery. You can't see that. The Blake, I've seen their ads constant on TV. They're running big time ads. Then on the national scale, JD Vance, this is from the vice president. I'm getting those in. Of course, it's a pack. It's not him sitting there hitting the buttons. It's a pack. That's from the vice president. And I've probably got some, from President Trump. You can probably get these. My father asked me to send this only to you. Don Jr., excuse me, not Dale Jr. Forgive me. Don. And then here's another one. That's from Horner. That's a whole different one that's going on. And these are pretty interesting. House District 3. Here we've got like they're in a boxing match. And this is from Horner's camp. And, it says they've got him listed. That one is a liberal, one is the conservative. I'm just showing you what they're putting out there. I'm not connected right now doing anything anyway, but they're calling him the conservative champion, Mitchell Horner. And I've had Mitchell on the show before. I need to, after the primaries, I'm going to get him back on. With everything that's happened to my wife, I didn't get to do as many interviews leading up to this, or any really that I wanted to do. It just wasn't possible. My schedule, I couldn't have a schedule. Every moment was just, you didn't know. Things could change. So when we get past the primaries and we're headed towards the general election, we'll schedule in some interviews and those that will come. Some choose not to. We'll get somebody. Mitchell's been really good about coming on. And I've talked to Nick Millwood on the streets down in Ringo. We were doing our show, me and Biscuit Boy, live down there, and he come in. It's a hub, caffeine addicts. And, we was able to talk to him for a few minutes. I'm not going to say anything much about either one of these because it is election day. But I did walk away with some, I don't know, what you might call a gut thing. And, about something. It was interesting to me how I walked away. I thought it would be different. I guess I would put it that way than it was on one thing. But anyway, we'll talk about that after the election. I don't even know how to describe it. I would say just I walked away from one meeting. I guess I would say it this way is I felt like I was being challenged and I was very open. It's almost like, I don't know. It's almost like you're, I don't know, the enemy. You're in the other camp or whatever. Never presented that. It was really interesting. It was very, I wouldn't say confrontational. It was very aggressive. I guess I would describe it as very aggressive. And I just got the impression that, I don't know. I'm going to tell you why I feel right now, and you're not getting another. I'm not coming on your show, but anyway, we'll see. We'll see. Election day today, and get out to the polls. Sometimes I think for me, I generally don't. When I early vote, I try to vote not as early as some. Like I don't go straight out. things happen late in an election, and I don't like already having my vote cast. Now, when my wife was, I still voted in the special election and all that. My wife was very sick. In fact, my wife was in the hospital. And I left the hospital one day to go do some things, and I said, I'm going to vote while I'm out. So I just did like a little laundry list of things and came back to the hospital. So then in that case, I went when I had a chance. This past one, I said, I'm going to leave at lunch. When actually I went in the morning, I was going to early vote, and I forgot. I was thinking election day, 7, and it's 8, and I went, I pulled in. I said, oh, I ain't got an hour. I got to get to work. So I said, I'll leave at lunch, and that's what I did. Either I left at lunch or I went. In the 2 or 3 days after that, I was just trying to get things done, and my sisters were helping me, and my sister was driving me around, and I said, you know what? She says, is there anything else you need to do, brother? And I said, well, honestly, I said, I'd appreciate it if you just drive me to the precinct and early voting, and I'll just vote. And I met some people, was able to tell them what happened. They're awesome people. And I went to, there's 2 early voting sites. West Side is one of those, Tommy. And if you're still listening, and that's where I went. I was closer to there, just went there and got the vote in. But I was going to say is I like the election day voting. For years, I was one of the first 2 or 3 that was standing on the steps at Lakeview. I just liked voting on election day. There's just something about that. And I always look forward to coming in if I had to work that day, which typically I do. And I would come, be ready to come in at night or in the afternoon and get ready for the election coverage. So tonight we'll keep things up on the screen. We'll do some looking at some of the early votes and stuff that are the numbers that are reporting in. There'll always be a percentage, and we'll look at that, especially in the state races. And I'm really interested in governor. The local stuff, yeah, but a governor and lieutenant governor. There's 36 governors are changing seats or something like that because they're turned out. We need that across the board. We need these career people, senators, all that. That needs to stop. We've got to hold their feet to the fire and get enough people in that will push that forward. We have got to stop this. And I think that I just think that they don't. These people that serve 6 years and they get a full ride on benefits and insurance and pension and all that. Come on. I mean, it was designed for you to go give of your time to serve your nation, not for you to get a handout for the rest of your life. And I just think something needs to be done with that. But I just think it needs to be stopped. Honestly, we don't need career politicians. We don't need to be paying that. We need to. Because that's what a lot of them are working for. And then if we don't have terms, and they serve forever, and then they get decrepit, and they're not even doing their job. I mean, look around the nation. We've got people right now that I don't even know if they know what day it is. I mean, they're in high positions of power in our government. They've served so long that it's sad. I'm not mocking them. I thought it was extremely sad when President Biden was. I don't want to see a human being treated like that. Whether I like their policies or not, or even them as people and how they act and all that, I don't want to see any human being pushed out with, being embarrassed that way. I just think that's horrible. I would never let my family be done like that. I kind of got in the show a little bit different thing, but I do want to put a scripture up. We do that every day on the show, morning show. Boy, this is a good one, isn't it? And God said, let there be light, and there was light. Genesis chapter 1, verse 3. In my church in Sunday school, we're going through the book of Genesis right now, and that's cool. Pretty picture there. God gives us some beautiful landscapes and stuff, and that's even with the curse that we're living under. So those things are going to even get a lot better. Hello to you on Instagram who have checked in. God bless you, and we appreciate you being here. I'm Dave, aka the Cornbread Man. And it is, as I said, election day. Last night on PNN News, and this will be PNN News tonight, we go live with for the election. Last night I covered a lot about Iran because that was in the news and this pause that the president has given to. But I'm not going to go through the article again, but I do want to direct your I'm going to put another one up on the screen, this headline. And there's some voices that are not wanting, they're wanting the president to be more forceful with the Iranians And this one, if you want to read an interesting article, retired General Kellogg here to Newsmax: Trump should bring Iran to its knees. And there's a pretty good article there by the retired general, uh, U.S. Army Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg. And so, just to know that, you should go read that. And there's quite a few things to read there about that. And if you'll also go down on their site, and I think it was, let's see here, I'm trying to think of where, um, it's one of the, one below in the middle section. Yes, it's this one. If you need to read this one as well. Um, it's pretty amazing as well. Let me make sure I got that. This article by, and his name is Robert Papp, the University of Chicago professor who studies these things. I forget the commercial there, but shortages hit Asia as U.S. Europe face shock soon. This does involve us, and we in that article there was a lot of talk about what nations are what's hitting them right now and what's soon to bring extreme hurt to them. And Europe and Southeast Asia are, as longer this goes on, it will hurt us some. It absolutely be disastrous to them. So they're very much going to be pressing to get something done here. Broski, one of Biden's greatest moments was when it was a group photo time at the G20 summit. Sleepy Joe wandered off and was playing. The one that got me was the one that got me, and it really told everything that you needed to know was going on. They downplayed it. They acted like it was, wasn't what it looked like. I think everybody understood what was going on, especially those that pay attention already knew it, and that confirmed it. Was when him and Obama was in the same room, and nobody paid any attention to Joe. And Obama comes through like, the royalty. They rolled out the red carpet, hand slaps on the back, just all the media. And Biden's over here trying to shake hands. He keeps trying to get their attention to say something. He's like, hey, I'm the president. No, you're not. No, you're not. He wasn't running anything. And that was a visual that everybody saw. And one way it should make you extremely angry. Another way it was extremely sad to be, can you imagine being done that way? I mean, I'm not saying they planned that, but it was very evident who was in charge. Very, very evident. Extremely disrespectful. Biden was visibly disturbed when that happened with Obama in the room. Yeah, I mean, he tried to get their attention. He tried to bring it back to himself. He couldn't do it. They totally ignored him. I mean, in fact, they brushed him to the side. Can you imagine being a sitting president? It doesn't matter who you are. You're the president. Can you imagine being done that way? You talk about an extreme break of protocol. I mean, and that's how bad our nation, that's what bad shape our nation was in, is that they let that go on. I'm really surprised they didn't shut the cameras down. But at that point, they just didn't care. They did not care. They had so much control, so much. They really thought, I believe that they thought going forward, nobody. I'm just saying, as a human, I don't like to see humans treated that way, but I understand what you're saying, that you don't feel bad for him at all. I'm not saying anything he did was right, and his career has been horrible. Oh, I know. Hey, I'm okay with it, man. I'm okay with it. I just can have the conversation with you. What bothers me is the ones I can't even have a conversation with. It's like, I just like to have. I think any good show, you have a counterpoint, and you kind of, you can agree on some things, other things you might not. Some might go further than me, such as yourself. Sometimes, if it surprises you, sometimes I might go further. Biscuit Boy scorched earth sometimes too. He has to restrain himself. Bless his heart. His wife's like, oh, watch what you're saying, boy. He does have to be careful. He's got a business and stuff, and No, I don't do that. I've never done that. I've never done it. What I do say is, usually what happens is people get mad at me and they just go on. And I just told them that I wasn't going to put anything on the screen anymore if they couldn't come up with something other than that. I was still showing that. I gave them some space. It's their opinions, and I don't. But it became an attack on me, and I just, it's like, come on, man. I mean, let's come up with something else. I mean, I understand where you're at. I just we couldn't never have a discussion, and then I became the target of the anger because I wouldn't, then I became. I mean, they were full on just attacking me, and they may be listening out there right now, but it's the truth. I mean, because I wouldn't go where they went, I became part of the problem. It's like, come on, man, I got a show here. It's point counterpoint. Sometimes I take the opposite side of a thing just to see where I can take it. People get mad at me about that. There has been times in the past where it got ugly, and I was just trying to show the other side of something. I just think I've been a part of debate teams and stuff, and I kind of like doing that. I mean, it's fun. I love to do debates. When I got to do debates. I got to do this in the workplace one time in a class, and we got to debate the abortion issue, guns, and something else. And it's fun to jump on the other side, and because you can throw all those phrases and stuff out that they use. I had a ball with it. I probably have a little too much fun with it, to be honest. Oh yeah, Paul has. Oh, and he has learned to watch some of that through, and so you can imagine where it used to be. It's still there. It just simmers. Oh, you did. You did. I don't mind that too, because as long as people are not getting their little feelings hurt and stuff, it can get out of control. But I think that I like to see that. I've done whole shows where I just glance at the chat and I'm like, okay, I'm not even going to get into that. They got a hold of it, let them run, And I'm not. I have never banned anybody though, which has caused me some flack because I've unbanned people for my shows, and because I wanted. It's not that I felt like I could win over somebody or change them. I don't like. I don't know how to put it. I guess to me, I get it. There's one guy that I did support a band for, and that guy attacked a child, and I said, I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to have that. And I think he had some stuff going on because we had enjoyed conversation, and we had been close before. And I don't know what was going on with that dude, but you start attacking children and said some ugly things. That's kind of the kind of guy you got, or anybody, you got to get them out. There were some, there's still in the. I looked it up the other day to see who all had been banned. There were some people banned when I wasn't on. They were just ugly people, and I didn't unban them. I would support that. You're exactly right in that push. That's the one that pushed my buttons. And I just don't like that. I mean, come on, what I said was the truth is if you want and listen, maybe Rumble won't let you, maybe they will, but I promise you on one of the other ones they guarantee free speech, whereas Rumble some are saying they haven't as well here lately, but Gab does, and they get flack for it, free speech. You can go in there and you can say all that you want. And I said, start a show. Get your own platform. You'll find people that'll come support your opinion. You'll have somebody come by and attack you. At the end of the day, I believe this, that all men are liars in some form or fashion, because we're all sinners, and we will fail. We will fail each other, not meaning to. That's where forgiveness comes in and all that. There are evil people out there. Some are filled with the demons, possession. We know that. If not that, they're certainly influenced by demons. We're dealing with demonic things. Absolutely. God's keeping the score. I think most politicians are probably, that's like the, forgive me if you're out there and you're one of these, the used car salesman. There's some sketchy things that goes on. Let's just say it. They'll lie to you. And to stay in power, people lie to you. And yeah, I don't, in most cases, I'm a patriot. Have a lot of patriotism. I don't believe everything the politician says about that, because they're not there, first of all, for the flag and country. They're there mostly for themselves, to have a position of power and to, have that experience and get that on the books and whatever you want. There are, in some cases, those who, as being a patriot, and going back to them, by the way, they support someone. If you go further back, they say they're the greatest guy, but if you go further back, they're very much, the person they were promoting has some very questionable things going on as well. So again, we don't have but so many we can choose and so many to vote on, and sometimes they do really well or fairly well or whatever. Sometimes they do horrible, and you're like, man, I can't believe I got stuck into that. People get stuck in believing they have to pick a side, and I thought, yeah, I get it. And that was really my point, is to me, that's a whole different issue. They go much further than I do on this side. I see a lot, I see that. But there was never a recognition on this side of the evil that men do. And that was not right. I just, at that point, you tell me that you have no balance anywhere. It's all just one-sided. And to me, that's sad. I'm an open-minded guy. People think I'm not, but I am. And I change my opinion about stuff. In fact, I just made a big change in my opinion on something, and we're going to have a show about it. And it's probably going to make some people mad at me because they're not going to agree with me. But I have wrestled with something in these last 3 weeks, and I read an article yesterday, and it really spoke to my soul. And this is not a spiritual thing, although it has some spiritual elements. And I've talked to Biscuit Boy, and I told him what I wanted to do, and he was like, man, let's go. And he said, where he said, this is where I stand. And I didn't even know if we'd line up on it. And I think he has changed his mind. And the topic is organ donation. And I don't mind saying I'm taking my name off the list. And we'll talk about the reasons why. And I'm not here to sway anybody's opinion. I want to put information out there. Hey, good morning, Jerry. But I got to go back I'm going to redo my license. I'm not just saying it, I'm doing it. And there's reason for that. I'm not against people getting a kidney or a lung. You got extra of those. And I'm not saying that, but I'm really disgusted by some things that happened with me, with my wife's passing. And I don't know, it hit me really hard. And I've made it, I was already leaning that way. Then I read an article yesterday actually, this is going to shock you, broski, don't fall out of your chair. Or if you're driving, don't run off the road. It was a former EMT, and actually I read a Substack article by a Catholic priest, and put it in a way on some things, and I didn't think about. And my overall it's big business. My overall problem with it is it's a sick business, and it's hot. There's a lot of money attached, and it's getting worse. And it's not just around the world. It's here, and I have a concern about where this is going. I have a big concern about where that is going. So anyway, I've changed, and I am now not going to do that. And I'm changing my license here in Georgia. They give you a cheaper rate. In fact, that was thrown up when my wife passed. That was thrown up in my face as they tried to put the pressure on that my wife had made the decision to do that basically I should honor it regarding a certain part of her body. And dude, I had just gotten home from the hospital and all that whole scene. And I said, I don't care. You're not doing it. And I said, my wife did that. She does always a caring person, gave blood, did all these things. I said, but she probably did that mainly to save some money in the state because they give you a big break on your license. I said, I don't care about the money. I said, you're not doing it. she said, well, if you change your mind, you can call. I said, I'm not changing my mind. Then this article really, it made me think on some things. So I'm not a stick in the mud on something. Now, I'm not changing my mind on Jesus. I'm open-minded to some things, though. So people that think I don't change my position, they just don't know me. They don't know Dave. Dave changed his opinion about stuff over the years. And I don't expect anybody to agree with me. I'm just saying this is where I'm at. And we're going to have a show about it. And I want to share some information. And it's not just me. I want to get people's opinions about it. I want people on all sides of it. I want to have a good discussion. It's a 2 to 3 weeks out because I want to give some time for us to look at a few things. Maybe get a couple of interviews with folks on this side of it. I'd love to interview an EMT or someone connected. A lot of times they won't do it because they're afraid of getting, in trouble, blackballed and stuff. But he was a former EMT. I'm going to tell you, that article hit me hard. And I just felt like I was supposed to read it. I felt like what I was feeling from the night she died, or that afternoon that she died, and what happened that evening when I got home. I was already, even before that, even before she passed, there was things that bothered me about it. A friend of mine, Jerry would know, his wife, and what she used to say about it. And I don't know, there's just some things about it that really bothered me. Jerry Barrett, good morning. Got to do blood work first thing this morning, then go vote. Yay! And see which of the many items I have to do on the hunting do list that I have for today. Have a great day. God bless you, Jerry. Amen. So, but yeah, I have made that change, and I don't mind saying it. I'm not dancing around it. I'm full on telling. I told my family. I didn't tell them to support me or ask for support. I said, I just want to tell you where I'm at, and I want you to know what I'm doing. I said, I don't want you to hear about it when I do a show or something, because I may get attacked on it. I just don't care. But it's not because I don't care about people or whatever. I'm just sick and disgusted of what they're doing in this world. It's really disgusting to me. And I've just looked at it from a new direction, and it made me really consider. And I think Biscuit Boy kind of went through the same thing here a while back. He discussed it with me here weeks ago. We had a loose conversation about it before things got bad with my wife, and he was talking about the heart. And anyway, we had a pretty interesting discussion. But anyway, Dave, I'm telling you, the most base people, most base religious leaders I've known are Catholic. Also enjoy some Orthodox priest advice as well. And I'm not saying that in a way that I didn't, that I'm putting them down or anything like that. I just thought you might be shocked that I read something from a Catholic priest. I'm not against Catholics. I'm not against anybody. I mean, I'm not. There are certainly doctrinal things that we disagree on, but I'm not. I do applaud their stance on pro-life and many things. And so, and my show First Light, or the show, our show, not just my show, this show First Light in the mornings is, it's discussion. It's meant to be. I'm probably going to catch some flack for it, but it's not. It's meant to be. It's discussion over scriptures and life, and I want to get different opinions about the people, where they come from, and their belief about how certain scriptures apply to them and the way they see it. And I'm probably going to catch a little flack about that. It's just, I want to get various opinions, because again, it's all about the presentation of how people. I'm not afraid to listen to people. Some people are afraid, like, oh, I can't listen to them. They're this. I cannot listen to them. I'm not that way. I know in whom I have believed. I know what I believe, and I'm comfortable with where I'm at. I'm completely comfortable. Other people may not be comfortable for me, but I'm comfortable with myself. And I am. I do want to do that. This is one of those. This is not this show. It's not for entertainment purposes or anything. It is full on something I feel very strongly about, and I just want to have a show about it. It may even turn into a little mini series of shows about issues like that. And this goes way back. By the way, I disagreed with Catholic Charities on the Terry Schiavo case, and I was in a room at Catholic Charities and being. I'll talk about that too. I mean, it's a part of the discussion. It's about death and dying. And this one was this clergy. I was called into this one. they got my name for a one on file for to be able to visit people in the hospital way back when they started tightening up the rules. And I disagreed with him on a major point. No argument, no, I just said, ooh, I don't agree with that. But I do listen. I am shocked that you read it. I'm glad you did. I'm not taking the. Oh, I appreciate it. And I didn't mean it. I just, you'd probably be a little shocked here, broski. It might shock you to know that back in the day, I listened to Jack Van Impe a lot, who was very pro-Catholic, and he was always he was always promoting things that. What is the? Oh man, what is that? I'm going to say it wrong. Encyclica or whatever, Anyway, the writings of the Pope, and he was always pointing out things. Like I say, I listen to a lot of different people. I'm not suggesting that all people should do that. I think you got to know what you believe. I think you got to be solid in what you believe, because got some people twisting things, and hey, people in my own corner of the world in this do that too, and I don't agree with them. It might be. I mean, I can't have this discussion with Bert and Ernie, but I will say this now, and this is going to a little country church. Reading the Bible, though, and reading the Bible and studying, and I had questions, and sometimes those questions didn't get answered. And sometimes the answer was wrong. And I learned that they were good people doing the best they could of what they understood. And I, at one time, in fact, this is funny, because of my ministry at the time, Biscuit Boy's own mom warned him to stay away from me, that I was a cult. That's a fact. I don't know if he remembers that, all the hits to the head he's had. Later on, she loved me to death, and I just loved her, and she hugged my neck, and she came to one of my meetings, and she said I was wrong. But it was a lot of people attacked me. In fact, people in my own family attacked me. They called me. I got called some ugly stuff. I don't want to say what, because the people might be listening and they get offended. I wasn't offended. I was a little bit. It hurts. I mean, a little bit shocked by it, but all because I firmly stand on that anybody, as long as they're breathing, can be born again. Anybody. I'll stand on that. It's scriptural. But there are some people like to take the scriptures and say that it's impossible for some, and I don't know how you get that, but they get mad. I've had people get mad at me. It's out of ignorance, and it's out of listening to that for decades, and they just get caught up in it. And I would bring the scriptures and show it to them and say, "Can you explain this to me?" I'm asking you to explain it to me, because I'm seeing it one way, and I was told some shocking things before. I went, whoa. And I didn't disrespect anybody. I just, in my own little noggin, I said, that's just wrong. That's just not right. But I realized that they were just ignorant to it, even though they had preached it, taught it, lived it, believed all their life. They had just, and I think the shock on my face when one of my pastors said something, and I just recoiled a little bit, like, whoa. I was in my 30s, but I had never really studied the scriptures. This 30-year journey I've been on. And he saw that, and he said, well, brother, that's the way I've always heard it. He was a good man. But you got to be careful, because the best of the best is that's something I think about when I step in the pulpit. I'm holding people's lives in my hands on what they're going to believe they go away. You got to make sure you preach the Bible and not yourself, not your traditions, not your culture, not your own ways about it. You got to teach what it says. Put it out there and let the word be the word. And I've seen people take some hard stances, and I'm like, whoa. And I think there's, no matter what I'll give you another example that divides. I don't let it be a division for me. I could give you, probably 100 of these. But another one that where me and close friends, take a different point on this is the idea of soul sleep. And that basically means that you are dead. You won't be alive until the catching away of the church, that you are not, you're asleep. And to me, it's a misunderstanding of what the verse means and the words that is used. When you study it more, you see that. Anyway, I'm on one side, they're on the other. And I say, look, we love each other. We're both believers. I'm not going to let it be a division. At the end of the day, it's not really that important. It's not going to impact your life here whatsoever. It's after you're dead. So we don't need to argue about that. I don't argue about anything. I really don't. I don't argue about it. But yeah, I'm very, and I gotta get off here. I'm very. This one has hit me really hard, and I want to do it. I'd say 2 weeks, and maybe a third week. If I can get everything pulled together in 2 weeks, I'm going to do it justice. And I hope other voices will come up. And really, that's just to provide time for us to do that. But it's not really meant to be a deep dive. I'm not trying to explore every avenue of what different cultures believe or whatever, although there are cultures who don't believe in that. There are religious groups that don't believe in that. Even the blood, I get that. So I'm not trying to open the whole can to that. But on this point, it's really just about me saying this is why I have changed my mind. And I'm not changing back. I'm where I'm at, and um, I'm just disgusted by the whole thing. And I think that this is one of the things that human beings across the world, they got to be dangerous. They got to be careful. We already know that here in the United States, people have been kidnapped, put in hotel rooms, drugged. They have taken some of their organs out and sold them on the black market. Got to be careful. There's not enough to go around. We know that. And I used to say, hey, folks, join, there's not enough organs to go around. But I also seen how those organs were not done right. And I know people who didn't get them that should have got them, and people got to jump the line. It's all a bunch of crap. That's my opinion. But yeah, we'll announce the show ahead of time, and we'll replay it too. But we'll do a live show, and I'll introduce. I'm going to use his. I'll give him full credit. I've asked him to come on. Is one of the reasons I'm delaying. I don't know that he will. Yes, broski, I asked a Catholic priest. I'm going to be run out of town. I said, I know you're busy, but I really was impacted by your article and your experience. And he used to be an EMT. And what you have to say about this, I'd love for you to come on and talk about it. He has a Substack, but I don't know that he does shows. He does little short things and articles and stuff like that. But I've asked him, and I don't even remember what area of the country he lives in. I don't remember. But I've asked him if he would. I'm waiting for him to get back. So hopefully he will. Because I'd like for him to be included. I want to hear him describe where he's at on this. And basically the appeal of the article is, what he is saying in the article, he's saying everybody needs to go a big no on it. And I just read it, man. I was at work. It just popped up. It popped up in my feed, and it came to my email. And because of what I had just dealt with, I was like, I'm going to read this. It was not that long. Even at work, I just needed to read that. And then at work, I made that decision sitting in my office that I was done. And points that he had, I never thought about on some of this. And it just opened my eyes to some stuff. So, like I said, that's a long discussion about basically that I am open-minded, and I do change my mind on some stuff. And I'm not asking others to do it. I'm not going there. I'll let his article do that, but I'm not going there. But Biscuit Boy may take an harder test than me. But we talked late last night, and he concurred. He said, well, my feelings about, and I'll let him describe those things about it. A lot of this involves the heart, though. I will say that. Spiritual, physical, some things there that I'm cringing even thinking about it, to be honest. But that's a discussion for a day coming soon, and we'll announce that, and we'll just let the chips fall where they are. And if people get mad, organizations want to come after us, because you get hit from every corner on this. You really do. It's big business, folks. Big business. I got to get out of here. I got a meeting at 7:45, which means I've got to get moving. Thank you so much for supporting the Southern Patriots and the Wolf Nation. We're now called Wolf Nation Network, which has the Southern Patriots underneath that, and the Cornbread Nation and Patriot Nation and all those things. Join us tonight for PNN, Patriot Nation News, and we're going to be talking the election results as well as other news, and hopefully throw in some sports as well this evening. tomorrow night we have a we're due to have a racing interview, and also Thursday night with a couple of local guys. I think will be in studio. And you too, Broski. You have a great day. God bless everybody, and God bless America. And if you don't know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, make that change today. Make today the day of salvation. This world is ugly and evil and getting more evil by the day, and we can't change that. We can pray about it, maybe have revival, but it is what it is, as they say. But what we can do is change us, and we don't have to be a part of that, and we can stand against it and know that we are on the winning side. Amen. Take care.